card makers struggle to make masculine or guy-themed cards. I definitely count myself as one of those card makers. So what I recommend is if you see a card making supply that you know you can use for guy cards, grab it because they're often few and far between. But this month, Waffle Flower is featuring guy-themed supplies, including dads, dogs, and more. So let me show you the items from the new release that I'll be working with today. First, just a reminder of what came in the Sneak Peek Kit Club from this past month, which was a sneak peek of this release. First was the black line foam lines. There was also the Paw Print Stencil Duo, obviously 2 stencils to create a 3D effect. There was the Oversized Friend Print die, the Best Friend die, which is all the little dog shapes, and the Subsentiments Friends and Family. In addition to that, this month, I am working with the Best Friend stamp set, which is similar to the Best Friend die in the dog shapes, but also has images of owners as well. There's the Pawfect Sentiments that has a bunch of sentiments for dog owners, and I love the script and straight font. And there's also the For the Guys sentiment stamp. Now this is something that I was talking about. If you see a sentiment stamp set like this that is all related to guys, I would grab it. This is the Trophy Cup Die-n-stencil. Now this is great for Father's Day and other things, but you could also just use it for sports and other awards too. Now let's make some cards. For this card, I'm going to start with the Best Friend stamp set, and I'm going to use the silhouettes of the different dogs to create a card. I'm going to arrange a bunch of those dog stamps in a grid format on an A2 card, and I'm going to have 3 rows, 3 dogs in each row. And I like the variety of dogs that are included in this set. There's pretty much something for everyone there. I'm going to use the brand new Distress Oxide Lost Shadow on these dogs, and I am going to stamp this twice. Even though I only show it once, I do stamp it twice to get perfect coverage on all of the dogs, but I like that light gray as kind of a subtle background. Now I'm going to take the Pawfect Sentiments and I'm going to stamp one of them right in the middle of the card. Yes, it's on top of one of the dogs. That's okay. It is going to be stamped in black onyx ink, VersaFine Black Onyx ink, which is a pigment ink, so it gives you plenty of time to pour some clear embossing powder on top. This way, when you heat set that, it won't smear, but also it will dry shiny and a little bit raised as well. And this is just a clean and simple card that is a great guy card for a birthday. Next up, I'm going to share how to use the Trophy Cup stencil and die. So the great thing about this stencil is that there are layers to the stencil, but all the layers come on one stencil, and that saves you a lot of money because if each layer were on a different stencil, you would have to pay a lot more for this set. And the other great thing is that there are 3 elements that are layerable in this stencil set. So you have the trophy cup, then you have the label, and then you have a numeral 1. So the second layer creates another layer for the trophy cup, and they actually have instructions right on the stencil. In addition to all these layers, they also tell you the layer 1 is for the lightest color, layer 2 is for the medium color, and then layer 3 is for the darkest color. So I am using 3 different colors of Distress Oxide ink on that trophy cup. I have Squeezed Lemonade, then Mustard Seed, and for the last layer, I'm going to use Fossilized Amber. And I'm using a bunch of the Waffle Flower shader brushes, especially for those little areas where I just want to get on the trophy label or on the number 1. So here's the second layer completed, and then the last layer is just for the trophy cup. So it just adds some shading, and this is the great thing about layerable stencils is that you really get dimension and shading and looks that are very impressive just by ink blending over those stencils. The other great thing is that there's 1 die, not 3 dies, one die that connects all the little pieces together but cuts them all out individually so you can stack them on top of each other. I am going to use some of the sentiments from the For the Guys sentiment and then one dog from the Best Friend stamp set. I'm going to stamp these again with VersaFine black onyx ink and pour clear embossing powder on top. And you can see that I placed the dog so that it will have its paws up on the trophy once we put the card all together. And I love the look of heat embossing, that clear embossing powder over the black, because it starts out cloudy and then magically just turns to a black, shiny, slightly raised impression. Now I'm going to cut that panel down to 4 by 5 1/4 and mat it on some black cardstock, gives it a nice finished touch, and then pop up that trophy just in the right spot so the dog's paws are resting on that trophy, which I thought was a really fun way to create this card. I did decide to go back to the Pawfect sentiments and stamp this little paw with a heart in it. And I'm going to fussy cut it out because I'm going to place this on my trophy as well. It's an easy shape to fussy cut out. I'm going to use some liquid glue for that because tape runner doesn't really stick to Distress Oxide ink very well. So I definitely recommend a nice, strong, adhesive liquid glue for that. This card is so much fun and so easy to put together just with the stenciling and stamping. Now I'm going to use a couple of pieces that I created in the sneak peek Kit Club video. I had these paw prints from the stencil that were created on black cardstock with Distress Oxide ink using gray on top of black. And then I had some of the Best Friend dies cut out of different colors. I'm going to use 3 dogs cut out of blue. This time I'm going to die cut the Oversized Friend print die, and I'm going to cut the word die out of white and the shadow out of black. And then I'm going to use those foam lines that are nice and puffy and they're black as well to hide behind that black shadow. So you won't see white foam peeking out. That's the great thing about the black foam. For the white sub-sentiment there that says possum, I am going to use regular old foam tape. A really cute card for anybody really, but could be for a guy since it's not florally or pink or anything like that. For this card, I am going to go back to that Paw Print Duo stencil. This time I'm going to use 3 different colors of blue for the first stencil. So we're going from light to dark, tumbled glass, broken china, and then mermaid lagoon. I love these stencils because they have lines that show you where to line up the A2 card. So you can easily tape down the card to the stencil on the back and then flip it over and tape the stencil to your work surface. For the second layer of this stencil, I did use broken china, faded jeans, and then prize ribbon to create that dimensional look. I have some bright dark blue cardstock that I'm going to stamp the Happy Father's Day sentiment from the Pawfect Sentiments stamp set and the little paw print again. And I stamped those in white pigment ink and then poured some white embossing powder on top and heat set those. I am going to fussy cut again that little paw. It's very easy to do. I'm going to use those black foam lines behind the blue. I think they work equally as well behind dark blue as they do behind black cardstock. It just basically doesn't have white peeking out from the front. Again, super simple, easy card to create. I wanted to do one more of the trophies, only this time in a silver trophy. The first colors were yellowy to create kind of a gold looking trophy. This is going to be a silver trophy. So the first layer I'm using Lost Shadow, and this time I'm doing all 3 elements in the same color because all 3 elements are going to be silver on this trophy. And so I have the Lost Shadow, Hickory Smoke, and then Weathered Wood as the darkest. I'm going to use a Pentel Sparkle silver pen to add little sparkle elements to the trophy, the label, and the little one there. So I'm not coloring it all in, I'm just adding little bits here and there. So there is a little bit of silver sparkle to this trophy, and it's hard to see in camera, but it comes out real nice in person. Again, the die cuts all 3 elements out. I'm going to stamp You Are One Rad Dad and Happy Father's Day on a piece of white cardstock and trim that down to 4 by 5 1/4 so I can mat it on some yellow cardstock. Then I can pop up the trophy on some foam tape Again, when you're adhering those elements like the label and the number 1, you want to be sure to use a strong liquid glue like Thermweb's Ultra Bond so that it really sticks on that Distress Oxide ink. Last but not least, I'm going to add a little bit of dimension and shine to the number 1. And again, clean and simple, which is perfect for the guys who don't like a lot of frills and flowers. If you haven't seen my video featuring the latest Waffle Flower Sneak Peek Kit Club, I'm going to link to that here. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Rude, loud, rude, in, on. But this month, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know what that could be.